What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, we're looking at FPL transfer tips ahead of Game Week 33. So we're going to look at some players that are being brought and sold by FPL managers around the world, and then look at whether they're making a mistake, things to think about before you bring them in, before you take them out, and stuff like that as well. We're completely ignoring everything else in the world of football for this video. We're just going to crack on with the FPL stuff for now. So please do give it a like if you enjoy it. Hit subscribe if you're new around here, and let's jump into it. So with Son, already this week, 59,655 managers have transferred him out. And they've not even seen the second game yet, right? So they've not even seen him play against Southampton. Who knows what points he might get in there. Obviously, a lot of Son's potential comes off Harry Kane, so it'd be good to know if he's back soon. Because if Kane's out, look, in the past, I would have definitely thought that makes Son a better option, but I'm just not quite 100% sure about Spurs right now. But in the past, under Pochettino especially, when Kane missed out, Son just became the striker, and he is great at playing the striker role, right? He's an excellent finisher, gets into good positions, pace, strength. He's got everything, really. He's kind of a complete forward player. So I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens with Kane, but maybe not quite as happy to see him miss out than I might have been in previous seasons, because Kane has been so creative as well as scoring loads of goals as well. So we need to worry about that. There's also Mourinho now gone as well. So I spoke about Gareth Bale yesterday on the watch list video. I'm really intrigued to see how Ryan Mason, who now at the time of recording this video, not from yesterday's, apparently has been given the job until the end of the season, right? So obviously they're going to employ someone more experienced, etc. But it sounds like Ryan Mason, I think he's 29 years old, he's going to be younger than some of the players that are playing. He has taken over, so fair play. Hope it works out for him. But obviously there's interest now in how they line up. Now, some managers would have wildcarded with Son. Some people wildcarded without him, then brought him in for 32 for the double, and then had a plan to get rid for Fernandes or Salah, whoever it might be. And to be honest, I don't think that's necessarily that bad of a plan. The thing is, Spurs fixtures are quite good. Sheffield United at home in 34, Leeds away in 35, and then Wolves at home in 36, then it's Villa in 37. So they're not that bad. Obviously, they blanked this week. So perhaps you've already got your strategy in place where you're just going to get rid of him because they're not playing. But I think there's an argument to keep. The only reason I would sell him is if you're absolutely sure the player you're bringing in is someone that you want long term. Like if you haven't planned far enough ahead and you're taking out Son to get in Rashford or Greenwood or Bruno Fernandes, who I think are probably the key targets because they play Leeds in 33, right? So a lot of people are expecting big returns, especially after the 6-2 last time. But if you're then going to reverse that straight away, that's 2 transfers. And I always think it's worth thinking about with transfers that they're worth 4 points. So if you're spending 4 points, even if you're not taking an actual hit, that is still going to cost you somewhere down the line, right? Because if you're using those transfers now, you can't use them on other players. So if you're literally going to reverse it in 34, I think there's less need to do it. Obviously, you could get enough points from the player you bring in 33 to then make it justifiable to bring Son back. But you're taking quite a big bet on one game week, right? We've seen plenty of times how hard it is to predict how a player is going to do for any given game week. Usually when we get a player in, it's for the space of 3 to 5 to 6 maybe game weeks, and we're hoping for points over that spell. For example, I bought in Jamie Vardy. Right now, it's not looking too great, but that's only 1 week of at least 5 game weeks where Leicester have got good fixtures, and I'm obviously hoping he does well over the whole lot, right? Preferably every single week, of course, like Iheanacho's doing, but it doesn't always work out like that. So I don't necessarily think that managers are making a mistake, because I think a lot of people have planned to do this. But if you've got him and you can cope with Game Week 33, I think the numbers are looking okay. They're not perfect, but 7 shots in the box, he's starting to shoot a bit more. With Gareth Bale potentially coming back into the side, that might actually drop down a little bit, but we don't really know how they're going to set up. I don't think Ryan Mason's going to come in and completely overhaul the side, the tactics and stuff like that. But maybe there'll be a bit of freedom without Mourinho there. I'm not sure how it's going to go. We can only speculate. But I think Sheffield United at home in particular and Leeds away are great fixtures. I'm more than happy to own Son for them, and I'm not looking to sell as it stands. So we'll stick with the players that are being transferred out heavily first of all. So Calvert-Lewin, 75,789 transfers out as it stands. Now, first things first, obviously he was injured, right, for the last game, and we knew he wasn't going to play because Ancelotti came out and said that. Now, Ancelotti is usually pretty good at giving updates. Like someone like Solskjaer, for example, doesn't usually help us with whether a player is going to play. Ancelotti does. So, first of all, obviously in the press conference, if Ancelotti says that he's not fit and you can't cover him with other players in your squad, like off the bench, then fair enough. Obviously, he's a good sell. But when you look at the fixtures, right, he plays in 33. If I think about other cheapish strikers that I would want to bring in right now, there's not a massive list. Right, Bamford's got still a couple of tough fixtures before they get a bit better. Antonio's injured. We don't know when he's going to be back. We're going to talk about Cavani in a minute. Kane might be injured, but he's not even cheap. A lot of people have already got Iheanacho. There's very few cheap strikers around. That doesn't mean you can't sell him, of course. If you've got someone in mind, fair enough. But I actually think the fixtures are quite good, right? And also, if you haven't got a free hit, Calvert-Lewin will get a double game week at some point. Now, that comes on to a whole different conversation. We have seen in seasons gone past, I've fallen into the trap, loads of us have, where we stick with a player because they have a double, and in the meantime, we're losing loads of points because they're not actually doing that well. And Calvert-Lewin's probably one of those players. But looking at the stats, 9 shots in the box over the last 6, 2.58 non-penalty expected goals. It's not that bad. His stats are looking okay. Whether or not you trust Everton at the moment, fair enough. I don't think they're playing particularly well. But Villa at home, West Ham away. And I put West Ham away as a green fixture, even though I think it probably should be orange, just because they've been conceding a lot of goals recently. Right, they just have. Even against Newcastle, they conceded 3 goals, they lost the game. They conceded twice against Leicester, even though they won. They conceded twice against Wolves, even though they won. Declan Rice is a big miss from that West Ham team in particular. And plus, they've got other injuries to worry about as well. Like, it's not... Okay, I know how good Jesse Lingard's been. Bowen can come in. But Antonio's a huge miss as well. He does so much work up front. He holds the ball up. He provides, pace, but not necessarily massive pace like, I don't know, like Dan James or something like that. But he does make runs forwards, right? And he's always giving centre-backs something to think about. And that's obviously missing from West Ham right now. So they are conceding goals. So you could probably put that down as a green fixture. And Sheffield United at home, definitely a green fixture, right? They're rubbish this season. The reason they're going down, unfortunately for Sheffield United fans, but right now we're looking at teams to target, and they would definitely be on my list. So I think if he's fit for Arsenal, I think there's actually a good case to keep him. The fixtures are good. He could have a double in 35, if not in 37. And you just got to hope that some of those stats that are looking not bad at all start to convert into FPL points with those fixtures that are coming. So looking at some of the transfers in, okay, it's not massive, but 26,000, nearly 27,000 managers have already transferred Cavani in. Now, I quite like the look of him last week. I spoke about this already this week because obviously he came off early in the Europa League, but then he didn't start against Burnley. And obviously Solskjaer came out and basically said it was Cavani himself that said about putting him as a sub, right? So it wasn't really Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's choice. He was taking advice from the player, which is fair enough. But he obviously cannot play 3 games in quick succession, i.e. 3 games in a week, which is what's going to happen around the Europa League. And that is probably my biggest worry for, to be honest, any Man United player and any Arsenal player right now. I know, obviously, we could get into discussion about whether the Europa League even matters anymore. Will they even be in it with all this Super League stuff? Because obviously, winning the Europa League, not only does it get you a trophy, but it gets you into the Champions League. If they're not going to be in that, who cares? Now, without getting into this too much for this video, the players are still going to want to win that trophy, right? They're not just going to want to give up. The owners might not care, but the players and the managers still will care. So I don't think we should take it for granted that they're just going to say whatever and just ignore it. They're still going to rest players in the Premier League to then be fit for the Europa League, in Man United's case at least. So obviously they're not in the Champions League anymore. So if there is any matches around there, so around the semi-final, there's hardly any rest before and after the semi-final second leg, I think. The first leg's a little bit more. Someone like Cavani needs to be rested so that he's fit for that game, right? It's more important. Like, Man United have pretty much got top 4 sewn up. I know it's not mathematically done, but it's going to be very difficult for Man United not to finish in the top 4 now. So they are going to start concentrating on that Europa League potential for another trophy. It would be massive for Solskjaer to get a trophy, right, and finish in the top 4. So I think he is going to be rested. Because he didn't play against Burnley, I do think he's going to play against Leeds, and that is a good fixture. And again, like I just said for Calvert-Lewin, there aren't too many cheap strikers around at the moment. So if you wanted to take a punt on Cavani, bearing in mind, maybe you've got a good squad that can cover for him when he doesn't play. Obviously, he could get points off the bench, but I wouldn't necessarily rely on that too much. then yeah, you could take a punt on the Leeds game. I'm sure Solskjaer will want to play him against Liverpool. That's going to be such a massive match for so many reasons now outside of the league. And then Villa away is not bad as well. But there are going to be minutes managed for him around the Europa League. You've got to be prepared for that. So I was quite bullish about him being a good option last week. I'm less so now. I think for Leeds he probably will start, although I did think that for Burnley. But surely he does start against Leeds. So I think he is a good buy for this week. But after that, I'm not so sure about. I think the Europa League is going to cause a lot of problems. So the Jesse Lingard train continues to roll on. 53,730 managers have brought him in. Again, another 7-pointer, another return. Not a double-digit haul this time. And I hope I can safely say this as an owner. He was a bit jammy to come away with points again this week. Like, he might have taken the penalty anyway, right? I'm not saying he definitely wouldn't. I think last time, Mark Noble, last season he gave a penalty to Antonio, but the difference then was Antonio, and he actually came out and said, I don't know if he came out and said this, but someone else did. It was pretty much confirmed. He had a bonus if he hit 10 goals, and he needed 10 goals, therefore he took a penalty. That was Antonio's first penalty for like 340 career appearances in league games, so he ain't a penalty taker. He didn't just suddenly take that off Noble because Noble was scared. Noble's not that bad at penalties, right? So there was no guarantee he would take it. And look, I can say it as an owner, right? It's fine to say it. He was a little bit fortunate. Sometimes you need that fortune in FPL. Outside of that, I wasn't that impressed, to be honest. I'm not looking for reasons to doubt him because he's in my team and I want him to play well. But I think what we saw against Newcastle is the problem that most teams haven't given him so far. Like against a lot of the other teams, like Wolves in particular, gave him so much space to run into. Leicester, such a high line at times that him and Bowen were able to get him behind. And when he's got that chance to run at defences, that's when he kind of starts to shine a little bit. I think a lot of people have said that. Against Newcastle, they played quite a low block. It was much more difficult for West Ham to unlock them. No Rice, no Antonio, etc. Like I mentioned just a minute ago. Cresswell was out as well. Masuaku was missing too. I think there was maybe just the cracks starting to show. And it's nothing against David Moyes or West Ham or Lingard. When teams lose their best players, it becomes more of a struggle, right? If Man United lost Bruno Fernandes and Luke Shaw, so i.e. Cresswell and Antonio, right? Similar-ish. I know it's not a direct comparison. Then yeah, Man United would struggle a lot more, right? They're playing much better now. Pogba's back and playing. They played a little bit worse when he wasn't around. It happens. And I think Chelsea at home, look, should you avoid buying Lingard? Probably not, because I think around the cheap midfielders, I think Saka, for example, I love him. I think he will play most games. I think he is a good option when he plays. But again, a bit like Cavani, around the Europa League, there is probably going to be some rotation, or if not, some minutes managed, right? Obviously, Jota, we've seen blank the last couple, and I've said before that Lingard possibly has the advantage that he will definitely start and he will play 90 minutes most games. I know he came off with cramp, right? And we have to wait and see about that. But from what Moyes said, it's not going to be any more. Obviously, if he's injured, you don't buy him, right? Simple as that. But there aren't many cheap options out there that are kind of guaranteed good options versus him. Like Bowen could be good versus Lingard, but I don't think there's much in it. And if you've got the money, Lingard's probably still the one to go for. I actually don't think buying him against Chelsea is the worst thing because perhaps he'll get a little bit more space. The only thing is Chelsea are one of the best defensive teams in the league, so it's going to be difficult. Maybe they'll rotate because of their Champions League game. Who knows? But I don't think it's the worst thing to buy him because it is a blank. And so if you need someone that you want for the rest of the season, because Burnley, Everton, Brighton, not bad fixtures. I think they got West Brom and Southampton to play as well. And you need someone this week because you've not got 11 players. That was my original plan before he started going up so much in price. Then I don't think he's a bad buy at all. But I'm not expecting too much against Chelsea. And I think if Burnley kind of play low block style, I'm not sure how much they can do that right now. They're just not defending well at all. I don't even know if that's how they want to play. Then the lack of space might hurt Lingard. But what I will say is he's extremely cheap. Right, we shouldn't be expecting returns like, I don't know, Bruno or Salah, whoever it might be that we've seen in the past. These double-digit hauls were never going to continue, but that doesn't mean he's a bad option. It doesn't mean he's not going to stop trickling in points like he did last week. Yes, he was fortunate, I know. So I think it's a good buy in general. I don't think we should be expecting too much from Chelsea, and I do think eventually the West Ham injuries will catch up with them. But before you buy him, obviously you can hear from Moyes. When's Cresswell going to be back? What's the latest on Antonio and stuff like that? So good buy. not goodbye, as in I'm not going, a good purchase, I should say, but I wouldn't be expecting big things this week. There we go, that is it for this one. As always, if you have enjoyed it, please do give it a like and hit that subscribe button if you're new around here. We are very close to 150,000 subscribers on this channel. In terms of kind of FPL content, we will keep the ball rolling. We will go through all the normal stuff as we usually would for the rest of this week, the rest of the season, then into next season. Hopefully FPL will still be here next season as it has been the last few years. I do enjoy doing it. Hopefully you enjoy playing it, and hopefully this whole big mess, which I think is, just the word to be used for it right now, will not blow over, because I don't think it's going to blow over anytime soon. Even if the Super League ceases to be a thing, this is still going to carry on rolling, right? There's obviously bigger things at play here, but we're going to keep the FPL stuff going. I will continue to do some regular kind of football content, especially around the Super League, Euros and stuff like that, on a second channel dedicated to more football stuff. Obviously this is FPL, and I don't think I can consistently put out football stuff on this channel, because that's not what the channel's about. It's not what most people are here for, so that's why I'm going to do it. The Super League stuff's obviously big, and that's why I put a video out yesterday, and I'm not saying I won't do that again. But for regular stuff, I'm going to do it on a second channel. There will be a link in the description below. If you come and subscribe to that and come and watch some of the stuff, that would be much appreciated. If you just want the FPL stuff, stick around here. Lastly, if you haven't already checked out Patreon for this channel, if you want a bit more FPL content, Slack access and stuff like that, there is a link in the description below for that. Everybody that signs up goes up on the Legends wall, so thank you very much to everyone that has already signed up. Your support this season has been huge, to be honest, and there's big things to come next year, big announcements to be made, not just yet, but a lot of that's going to be down for the support on the channel and the support through Patreon as well. I'll leave it there. Have a great day. I'll be back tomorrow with the Game Week preview. There's going to be quite a bit to talk about in that, I think. And obviously I have team selection on Thursday as well, ahead of captaincy and deadline stream on Friday. So lots to look forward to. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, and I will see you again soon.